Catherine, I'm so excited to see you this morning. How are you?
I am doing well, enjoying some consistent Indiana weather. It's born and raised here, and I'm used to kind of, you know, weather being 35 and rainy one day and then 80 and sunny the next day. So at least we have the consistent weather going on amongst, you know, things that aren't so consistent. So that makes me feel better. How are you?
Well, speaking of the weather, so I saw a picture of your toddler from the beautiful weather from this weekend, and she is dressed in the cutest clothes. I can't even stand it. I cannot stand it.
Oh, thank you. I finally, just with kids are just naturally, expensive, but I understand that now because if I, get something for her, it means I don't get something, for me, which is why she is usually dressed nicely, and then I'm in, whatever I can get out of a pile. But I hang dry all of her laundry. Meanwhile, like my stuff is just crumpled up. So I feel like mom life. But thank you. She's
You're
fun.
welcome. She's always got the cutest clothes and those bows. I can't even stand it. Her hair looks better than me. When I see the pictures, I'm like, oh, your toddler is bringing it.
Oh,
and I have the worst
sweet.
bud, so I'm just trying to keep up with your toddlers.
Yeah, kids are just they're cute. Like they're just right now she still does like what I ask her to do, but that's like changing on like a daily basis. So we'll see how long until she picks out what she wants to wear and stuff, which will be fine. Will come with
Oh, I
time.
cannot even wait for that day, and I don't think it'll be crazy, but my niece would pick out the craziest things, to the point where I would take her to the grocery store and I would just want to put a sign up like, I did not dress her today. Like, she doesn't come from a family of nutballs. This is all her. I'm just choosing my battles.
Oh my gosh. You're probably excited with the cool auntie.
I'm very much the cool auntie. I got her so many moto jackets. It was ridiculous, to where my sister said, stop buying her moto jackets. The same thing with shoes, but I didn't have to pay for diapers or formula or food or education.
Oh my gosh.
So childcare. Being an auntie is the fun part. However, let's dig into it. So what we're talking about today is how we teach managers to discuss compensation, which seems like kind of like a silly topic, right? However, when we think about how close emotion and compensation are tied together, and how nerve-wracking and anxiety-ridden that can be filled for managers, teaching them how to talk to employees is just as important as teaching them how to discipline, how to terminate, how to have those difficult conversations.
Absolutely. So talking about compensation with your employees is tough. Money is naturally a hard subject. It's sensitive, and it's to be frank, it's uncomfortable at times. But the fact that compensation conversations and communications are somewhat of a chronic obstacle or challenge that companies experience is really no surprise because of this. I think that sometimes people forget that managers are employees too, and so everyone understanding whether you are an individual contributor or a manager, how your company pays and why is going to naturally help facilitate those conversations.
Right. So it kind of goes back to our previous conversation about compensation philosophy. So if you haven't watched that one, watch that one before you watch this one. However, if we don't help managers through that discussion, then we know that things may, frankly, just run amok. I think we're all friends and HR and comp people here. We can say things can run amok because no one comes out of the womb a manager. Like, I'm here and I'm ready to manage people. These are skills that we learn and we gather through experience. However, I think with the current environment with COVID, that even if your employees' compensation hasn't been impacted, chances are their household, so whether that's a spouse or partner, etc., family member that they take care of, parent, has been impacted. And so these conversations are going to naturally start to come up. So I think where we would start with talking to managers is returning to that compensation philosophy.
Right. And as we kind of talked about in the other episode with compensation philosophy is really the backbone of the how and the why you pay what you do. So the more aligned your rhetoric or your compensation programs or what you've communicated to your employees with that compensation philosophy reality, the easier your conversations with your employees are going to be. And as a manager, conversing with employees about their current and future income, it's never ever easy, especially when you're in the middle. It's an easy disconnect, especially if you can't defend certain decisions because you might not be personally involved in those decisions or at the table when certain programs are being discussed or certain payouts are being set for incentive plans. So it really comes back to understanding those from a top-down communication way. Like the communication needs to be the same, the understanding needs to be the same across the board, but it really has to have buy-in from the top, and that's what's really going to help facilitate those conversations, because the message will be not standardized isn't the right word, but it'll be consistent, and the information you provide your employees during that conversation, you will be able to ensure that it's correct and that you're telling them the right thing, and that it's not totally just your opinion as a manager, but it's the company stance.
Right, because sometimes, not that I've ever experienced this as an HR person, sometimes even if the manager is involved, there's some deflecting. So in that teaching and in that training, if we can incorporate things like teaching the managers that compensation is a very emotional, it can be tied to self-worth, playing field, and we can better equip them, as well as telling them to encourage their employees and praise their employees. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Thank you for coming to me with this question about your compensation, because to go back to fair and equitable, I can give an example. I had a good friend talk to me about his compensation, and as a man, he just went to his employer and he just said, hey, I got an offer for quite a bit more. You guys think you can match? Otherwise, I'm not going to have an option. I'm going to have to leave. And his boss said, sure, we can match and we don't leave. This is what it's going to look like. However, that same week, I had a good female friend, and she had gotten a richer offer. And she said, I don't want to be disloyal, so I don't want to tell them I got this offer. So I said, well, what are you going to do with it? She said, well, I'm going to leave. I said, you don't want to be disloyal, but you're going to leave. So you're not even going to give them a chance. And we know through studies that unconscious bias and conscious biases can color those conversations. However, if we teach managers about unconscious biases and we teach them to encourage all of their employees to come to them with questions or concerns about their compensation, we can head a lot of that off, and we can retain that knowledge and retain those employees that we've invested in.
Absolutely. And I think that is equally important for the people that you're actively recruiting, that they understand your compensation methods and philosophy, and also for your long-term employees. Because to your point, long-time employees want to make sure that pay equity exists. They want to understand the why behind pay decisions, especially as your company evolves. And of course, understanding compensation or how you're paid, no matter, again, if you're an individual contributor or executive, it's going to make you feel more satisfied, even if your pay hasn't been changed. If you understand why you're paid the way that you are more likely to view it, maybe not more likely to view it as fair, but versus the other way, if you don't understand it, you're probably more likely to view it as unfair, even if you are paid, competitively and fairly.
Right. So I think those are all really good points. And I think communicating to managers about how to discuss compensation with their employees, as well as from the top down, so whether that's to reward statements, et cetera, will really help organizations be able to retain that talent, as well as equip their managers to have those tough conversations.
Yeah.
So I really just want to thank you, Katherine, for talking through that with us.
Thank you.
And yes, and I look forward to more pictures of your toddler where I can be jealous of her hair and her bows, because they're so stinking cute.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Have a great day, guys.